Hello, and welcome to this installment of Giving Black Women Their Flowers. We're joined today by Charnetra Gray. We're going to get into this fashion aficionada and what she's all about. So, before we do that, I want you all to know who she is. She, first of all, is a client partner of Smox Media Group, but she has all of her own
Yes.
ventures going on. All right. Why fashion? This is going to be our fashion forward interview, but why fashion for you? What does it mean for you? What are your origin stories with fashion?
Yeah, so fashion definitely means to me self-expression, whether that's your own personal style choice or just really a way of life. For me, it is a lifestyle. I've been into fashion since I was a kid. Literally, I remember opening up a Vogue book when I was 14, and that's where the journey began. So fashion to me is definitely and for me is a lifestyle and a career choice. So that's
Yeah,
me.
a career choice. Now, there are a multitude of ways you can get into fashion. And there are designers and there are stylists. What are the difference between some of these roles? So, what do you do specifically as a designer, as an owner? Just
Right.
explain that for us who may not be as aware.
Yeah, so it's so many avenues when it comes to fashion. I began as a personal shopper at Nordstrom, and I transitioned from many backgrounds. Like I thought I wanted to be a stylist. That then took me to modeling. Modeling then took me to fashion design. Design it consisted of at first learning the craft and like cut and sew. I spent so many years and well, the first few years, like trying to perfect that craft. I focused on trying to just get it right through trial and error. It's still trial and error to this day. And then it's the process of learning fabrics, textiles, silhouettes. So fashion design consists of a lot of things, not just the creative portion, which is sketching and then bringing it to the concept developing. It's
Yeah.
also the business side, the marketing, and that's where I'm at now. I'm trying to now learn that side of business. So
Yeah, I love that you said learn, and you're talking about all the different phases that go into it. That could
yeah.
involve needing a team or some other resources. And so, what challenges may you face? Because we may not all have access to the tools that we
Right.
need in order to get us to the next steps, even if we know what it takes and what it requires. But what are some of those hurdles you may have faced, and how are you dealing with them if you've not overcome them yet?
Oh yes. Really it's the marketing and branding side now. It's new for me and it's always changing, especially with social media in our lives now. Right now I'm challenged with getting law of theory that audience it needs. Like you can be the best designer, you can create the best clothes, but when you don't have an audience to see, it really doesn't go
Yeah.
anywhere. So I'm challenged with how to first of all staying consistent and also what tools I need to get my brand an audience, the audience that I need. It doesn't have to be a big audience, but consistent. So right now, those challenges between just my personal life, trying to do the cut sew, and also trying to keep up with social media building and branding,
Since
it's a
it's
lot.
full plate, hat,
It
all
is.
the things you have them.
And it's a one woman show right now. So
Hmm.
I'm understanding, like, I do need help, and
Yes.
this is
Right. Let's talk about law theory. Let's give you your moment, your time to shine. I want to talk about the significance of the name of your brand as well as the drop date. Let's get into
right.
it. What should we
Yeah,
know?
so I came up with law theory really because I wanted to serve people and I wanted to service people how I knew best. Like just from my own personal experience, what helped me was me getting into the laws of the universe and just learning more about myself spiritually
Mhm.
and taking in all of that information I had learned. And also, it helped me with my own personal struggles, like anxiety, mental things. So I was like, I want to create something that can help people really personally, like not through clothes, but really something that can really help people for life. Like especially my Black people. Like, I think we all grew up especially in the South, like we all grew up with this one, I guess, one thing that you're supposed to follow, because that's just what your
Yeah, like
family or
social
your mom
code or like
did.
a way of
Right.
being, social order.
Ex- yeah, our culture,
Mhm,
kind of Southern culture.
mhm, mhm.
So that had its challenges, but I ultimately knew I wanted to teach what I knew and what I learned, and I knew it was something new. It's still something that I'm kind of afraid to step into that space with you, but you still have to do what's best for you, and whatever is helping you. So that's how I became law of theory. And then I knew I wanted to advocate and to help our community with self-improvement, and mental health awareness and free thinking, because you don't have to do what your forefathers did. You can create your own new lane, and as long as it's helping you and everybody around you, I think it's okay. So
Where does
that's how I came.
11:11 come in? Where does 11:11 come in? Because that's my son's birthday, our rainbow baby, and that has to do with our foundation. So that's
So
why we connect there.
I'm glad you asked me that. My birthday is 1/11. So those correspondence of numbers have always been significant. It means to me, what I've learned, it means you're right where you're supposed to be. And that always just stuck with me. Like, and I always have to tell myself that, like, you may not be where you want to be, but you are where you
In
are
that
supposed to
positioning.
be. Sometimes we rush our process, but that is the thing. Trust the process. You are work in progress. So
Okay.
those numbers, those are my favorite numbers. So
Okay, let's talk about work, and let's talk about the fact that you talked about your fear, but still going in the midst of fear, trudging toward, even with grace and dignity, your goal. New York Fashion Week was one of those moments where you went out on a leap,
yeah,
and you have a story to tell there. I remember
right.
seeing your post. What was it about? Like, you just taking that step of faith, that leap of faith,
I did.
and
I
going
knew
for it.
I wanted to attend, and I just knew that if it was now or never for me, I had the funds to go at that point. I was already working on my outfits to showcase, and I was cutting sew things for me to wear, because I knew, hey, I'm gonna be a walking billboard. I didn't have any shows. I didn't know about any shows. Nobody invited me to any shows. I didn't have friends I could reach out to in New York. I just say, hey, you're gonna get there, and it's gonna work itself out. And honestly, the first day I remember getting dressed, I went down to my hotel's bar and I sat there. And a model, she comes and sits next to me. We hit it off. And she kind of gave me the ends of where to go.
Yeah.
And she let me tag along with her and her crew.
Yes.
And that opened the doors to opportunities and people that I needed to meet that, and I
Yeah.
needed to see. So that led me to that first night to Jane Wade's fashion show, her fall winter 2023 collection. From there, I went to her Ledger, who's a really like well known, a heavy hitter in the fashion game, and where I
Yeah.
met Janae Naylor, a style influencer. She's very popular on YouTube, Instagram, and she has a lengthy background in fashion too. She comes from the retail space like me. She comes from Target. I come from Nordstrom, but I knew it was crazy, because I knew even before I went, I wanted to meet her. And it's crazy how we both was in the same space at
Man.
the same time. So
You become
with
a
her,
sis.
I met marketing execs from what goes around NYC. From there, it kept falling into place, like
Yeah.
brick by brick.
Yeah.
It didn't take me by myself. But it did take the courage and the to
Yeah.
muster up that courage to even go and put myself out there. So that was really a highlight of my career, and I'm
Yes.
ready to go back.
Right. So I want to get into a bit of your general comments on fashion and where you see the fashion world and where you're trying to take it. Where are your sights set for
Mhm.
fashion?
Right now, I think fashion, the space is it's to me, it's more. I think it has a lot to offer. Like, it's not as hard as it used to be for people like me that look like me to get into. I think it's getting easier and easier with people who came before me. So I do think it's a space for someone, even if you're on the styling end of it, the influencer end of it, the design. The time is now. because of social media, and it's so many independent designers are doing their thing right now. You don't, you don't need the big names behind you. If you can create your own community where you are, you can get into it. And for me, right now, what I do see myself Law Theory being a household name. And
Oh,
really, even before that, I want to see myself on red carpets like Met
oh,
Galas. I love a custom.
period.
I love a custom piece.
Or it's
And
giving history maker. Listen.
I mean, just that one client that can take it to a movie premiere, a Met Gala, any type of event on a red carpet. I do see myself there in the near future.
Hey, it's speaking and claiming it, so it becomes. That's my new
Exactly.
uh slang, my new logo, if you will.
I love it. I love it.
So we're gonna get into our time is going pretty quickly, and I have
I
so much that we
see.
can get into more, but I do want to highlight some advice for folks who are specifically either wanting to go into a high fashion area or a creative industry where maybe people of color, there are trendsetters, but they're not necessarily recognized. Yeah, and we were kind of
Right.
almost getting there where there have been some headway, but there is still some progress that needs to be made. So,
Exactly.
what advice do you? And this is could be from your experience from New York Fashion Week and from what you've just learned from your studies and from being self-taught in a lot of ways, and
Mm,
just whatever you've seen in Vogue and all of those things put together. What's your
right.
advice for someone?
The advice I can give is keep push yourself to the limit. Like, just because you see something working for someone else, it can work for you also. You just have to add your own bit of individuality on it. We all do the same things, but if you have something some type of creativeness about whatever you're trying to push, it'll work. Also, consistency, tenacity. Like, you have to keep doing it. I mean, I know we life challenges. I go through it all the time. But if you just stay on it, stay on that path with consistency, it'll happen for you. But also, I want to challenge people, especially that look like me, to it's okay to sit and do the work and go to the classes, self teach yourself. Don't stop learning, don't stop perfecting your craft.
Yes.
That's my main advice there is just keep learning, especially in the fashion space, because it's always changing, but it's honestly very slow. But what changes a lot is people. So
Oh yes.
we
Okay.
so
Consistently.
what I mean is, as a whole, like, we do it, people taste changes, but if you understand people, you'll understand how to serve them, and that's the kind of the only advice I can really give.
Yeah. Oh, and you given a lot. You can say, well, that's all. That was plenty. I want to leave with sort of your high level thinking, understanding, and concept with law theory. Just what you want to leave us with your brand. I know you talked about it being a household name and the significance of all that it entails, but if you are thinking about any pieces we should be keeping in mind, something we should be on the lookout for, something specific about why you created certain pieces. This is
Mhm.
your moment before we wrap up to tell us one more time who you are and who you're becoming.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to branding Law Theory, more merchandise. That means more affordable pieces. I really don't get into the fast fashion side of things. I'm really more so cut sew, sustainability based, and that's what I'm known for is denim. But I really want people to know I want to step outside my box and give them something else that they can that's tangible, easily marketable. So be on the lookout for a little revamp of just some new products. Like I said, something that we all can wear, because it's all about my customers, and I want them to know that, hey, I want to give you what you want, but I also want to challenge my customers to step outside the box, and and look out for my custom pieces always, because they never stop.
Oh, you heard it here first. Charnetra Gray was here, graced this interview, and you did hear it here. All the things that she's going to do, we already blessed it in advance, and it already has come to fruition.
It is.
Yes. So check out her entire spread in the March issue. We thank you for tuning in. Bye.